Hey.
Hey-o.
Hey, yo.
Well, hey, dude. Welcome to the podcast, Super Life Podcast.
Yeah, baby.
Stoked to have you. It's kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
My assistant messed up, and we're both standing out front, and we couldn't get in. I called the owner. We broke in with the code.
Yeah.
And we set it up, and with my little skills and your
Yeah.
infinite producing skills,
We figured it out.
we figured it out.
Yeah, because when you were calling, I was thinking, is this his place? Is this, And then you told me that incredible story about your whole property and
Oh yeah.
how it got
Wiped out.
wiped out.
Yeah, so we're surging.
Yeah.
Bigger and better than ever.
Resilient. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you've had that too. It's like, there's so many different places for us to run down. Your resume of being an artist and producing hit. You've had 16 hits?
I don't
Number
even.
ones?
I don't know. Well, 2 number ones, bona fide. Billboard,
worldwide shit.
Yeah. And it was literally a dream come true. Like when I say dream, we dreamt of this happening, going number one.
And so dreaming, and this is a topic I want to get into.
Yeah.
With you, because you I don't know if people know how powerful
Yeah,
they are,
that's right.
but also how you have exercised this part of your life. So how did you dream it into existence?
Earl Nightingale came out with a vinyl in 70, I think in the 78, 79, called The Strangest Secret. And it sold 1 million copies. And my mom would play the tape in the car growing up.
No way.
So this was like my learning when she wanted, in the car, instead of music, she's playing Earl Nightingale. Then she gave me a Tony Robbins Personal Power.
What's the Earl Nightingale? What was
The Strangest Secret. So
Yeah,
it was the law of attraction.
Right, way back.
Way back.
Right.
And now you have The Secret,
Right.
but it's very
Literally
similar.
took it.
Talking
secret.
It's the secret. Now, I had grown up listening to all of the Tony Robbins, Personal Power, Earl Nightingale, and then when The Secret, all credit to them, they made it theatrical, and they had all the interviews,
Sure.
Michael Beckwith and everybody on there, and something clicked, and I said, you only have to think about what you want, only.
Right.
Not what I want, but then maybe what if I can't? What if I just only? And I created this thing, which we can go into a little later, called +1. It's like a number line. What you want is always a positive 1. Then you want something else. And now you got 2. But every negative thought is a minus point. And you got to make sure that all of your whole life, you're thinking in the positive +1, +2, +3. And I can give you an example.
Right.
Let me just give you an example on this. For instance, someone came up to me and we were talking about this, and they said, where do you want to travel? If you had all the money in the world, where would you travel? And I said, Amsterdam, as we all had said at one point. I'm going to go to Amsterdam. And he goes, okay. And I said, yeah, but I can't afford it. And he goes, well, no. Okay, Amsterdam. And I said, he goes, have you thought about it? What are you doing to get to Amsterdam? And I said, well, like I was about to say, I can't afford it. I don't have enough money in the bank. And he goes, see, that's you said something that you wanted, and now you said something that you don't want, and then you've left it at 0. So +1, -1. Now you're at 0, and now you stop dreaming.
Right.
And I said, so what should I do? And he goes, just tell me another want. You want to go to Amsterdam, And what else do you want? And I said, I want to be able to afford it. He goes, yeah, that's it. And from that moment on, I got it. I said, I'm killing my own dreams by envisioning in the future something negative. So let me just pull out all the negativity and only think.
So this is huge because
Big time.
Now listen, there is something there is something in our brain called the amygdala that is geared and built upon negativity bias.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That is our keep ourselves alive programming.
Survival.
Deep in the brain.
Yeah.
And now cut to our modern world, which you and I can go off on, from clothing to all these things and food and all of this stuff. So we've created a modern world that doesn't quite align with keeping us healthy, right? Because it's got all these fatal conveniences, it's got all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But there's this negativity bias if the brain is off on its own. And that I just wanted to set that up because it does take practice.
You're right.
Right?
Right.
It takes a muscle to combat this what is all. So if we know that, if we're listening to our unbridled brain, our unbridled brain will be at least 5 to 10 times more negative thought provoking than if we're stepping in and actually reprogramming ourselves.
Right.
And that's important because people think they're crazy.
Right.
But no, it's the
natural.
way your brain is set up.
Right.
It's just not running from a tiger.
Right.
It's going, is that person going to hurt me? Is that person call me names?
And
whatever.
not just physical, emotional.
Yes.
With relationships.
Yes.
And maybe I did something as a kid and I was on a play and I did something I thought was funny and everybody said, oh, that's not funny. And that emotional embarrassment. Now you're a musician and you got stage fright because you don't want to go on stage. I used to do stand-up comedian. I used to do stand-up comedy.
Wow.
I used to do stand-up comedians. No, I used to do, but
it was so funny.
Yeah. But that was the biggest fear I ever had. But that's not even a physical. I should, if someone asks you what's your biggest fear, you should say falling off a cliff, because that's a real, right? That's a survival. That's what that brain is supposed to. Don't go next to there,
right?
Because you can die. That's a tiger,
right?
On the loose.
That will kill you.
But putting out a song on Spotify and it doesn't go well is not really going to kill you, but maybe in your mind.
Right.
And so I love that you pointed that out because it took work. It took, to only think about what I wanted and to stop having visions of me, performing at the Billboard Awards. And then what if I forget and then it kills it turns into a nightmare when you're dreaming and then it turns into a nightmare. And it was all
it's all happening here. Yeah.
Mind.
Yeah.
So that was it. So we started the band, LMFAO, the music, and both of us, my nephew and I, Sky, partner nephew, we only thought about what we wanted. And we did the whole thing that The Secret said, write how much money you want to make in the next year. We wrote $1 million check. We did a fake one. We put it up. And within a year, we were making, from going broke to in the one-room studio apartment, it was a basement that probably had mold, which I know that you're very angry about, but and it was by a washing machine too, so we were getting the fumes. And
so you transcended the moldology of your environment.
Yeah. And we had no idea. But we dreamt and we experimented. And all of a sudden, and I look at it as...
But it's not without... So you're dreaming it, you're practicing your mind, and then it's...
work.
Followed up with wicked action. Right?
Yeah. It's not just going back, I'm just going to sit back and play video games, and then my dreams are going to come true. Yeah. But the work wasn't work. was play. It was fun. And then the manifestation just happened and people would show up. For instance, I started saying yes to everything, saw the Jim Carrey movie. We actually wrote a song called Yes. And so I'll give you an example. I was playing around and I had ideas like I want to become a DJ. And I noticed that when I said, if anybody asks me, what am I doing? Is that just tell them you're a DJ. Don't say you're starting out. I'm learning. Right. Just say, and all of a sudden, knock on the door within 20, 30 minutes of this idea. Is almost like a neighbor comes down and goes, oh my God, I've been hearing some music. It's so cool. I really like your style. I was like, oh, okay. And I wanted to say, well, I wanted to like downplay myself.
Give all the excuses.
Yeah, like, well, no, it's just, and I said, oh, thanks, just thanks. And she goes, I have a party, it's coming up, and I need a DJ. And she goes, are you a DJ? And it was like this weird, like corny, like, wait, I just said, if somebody asked me, I just said this in my mind. She's like, are you, and it was like, that deep, are you a DJ? Like with echo and low. Right. And I said,
this is God working through her.
Yeah. And I was like, and I wanted to say, my old self would have said, oh, well, I'm practicing. I mean, and it was like this weird, and I just go, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a DJ. And she goes, okay, good. I want you to do my party. And it's on Friday. And I said, oh, yeah. How many people? 30, 40 people. And I said, all right, let's do it. And then I said, okay, so when's the date? And she's like, oh, it's in October. And it's like 3 months. It's like a Friday, 3 months. So I had like 3 months.
Wow. And
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. So I did all these unconventional things. I asked her what her favorite music was. Most DJs, they don't take requests. I didn't understand that was a rule or a constraint, So I was like, give me all your favorite songs. And it was an 8-hour set and I killed it. And I practiced every day. Then after that, I called the late great DJ AM. I called him for gratitude. And I just said, I want to thank you for inspiring me. He inspired me. I used to watch him DJ. And I said, yeah, I was doing this party for 8 hours and I was doing what you talk about doing and slowing down and all this technical stuff. And he goes, okay, cool, man. Hey, yeah, cool. Awesome. And then he hung up and I just felt good, just giving back to, and he calls me the next day and he goes, and this is 2 days. This is in December now. This is 2 days before New Year's Eve. And he goes, are you a DJ? I mean, do you DJ clubs? And I go, yeah, man, I DJ. I mean, I could. He goes, the DJ that's supposed to do the biggest club in LA, LAX, on New Year's, his flight is he got stuck in Africa on his flight, right? And I'm looking for a DJ. I have to do Vegas. So, he goes, and I mean, come on, this is the biggest night, New Year's Eve. And he goes, so are you down to do it? And I go, yeah, man. And hey,
this is 2 days.
2 days after this. Okay, so 2 days after I did the gratitude, he called. No, and then 2 days before.
Right.
And I got on. I went to the record store. By that time, they still had that old school store in Hollywood. Forget what it's called, and you could buy CDs and stuff. Man, I was ripping CDs. I was getting my MP3s because it was the DJ's software Serato, so use MP3s. And I started buying all the CDs, and it was one of my best sets. I took requests. The guy paid me $100 to play Jump from Crisscross way back, but and then doing that girls' party, I had all the old school hits, and then I imagined I'm gonna do so well that they're gonna ask me back to be a resident DJ. Sure enough, a day after, they called and said, we have a Thursday night that's open. And there was a Korean community or something, and they were doing, it was like a Korean night. And they said, are you down to do it? And I said, yeah, I am. And then from there, all this stuff was working. But after seeing The Secret, do only what you want and just, saying yes to the things you want. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say yes to something that I don't want to do. But if you want to do it, positive, strong yes. And if it's something you thought about, don't be that meek middle, because they can sense that, and they get a little nervous. Like, oh, well, he's not sure.
Right.
He's not this. And there's that fine line. It's not like lying.
Right.
If you're scratching on a record and going backwards and you're a DJ, you may not, it may not be the best DJ in the world, or, that's an opinion. And so that's how it all started. And that's how ever since then, I've manifested and thought in the future where I wanted to be. And here's the crazy thing. It's called time distortion, I believe, in NLP. You go in the future and you visualize exactly what you want. You go in the future. And then you feel good. I mean, because it's whatever your fantasies are. Right. When I say fantasy, I'm talking about real, like, fantasy.
Yeah. Own it.
Own it.
Yep.
Everything that you want. No, like, and I'm gonna do an exercise with you. Okay. And then you feel good. You come back to now, and you still have those feelings. You open your eyes, and you could be broke, $10 in the bank, whatever it is. And The Secret said something about that feeling that you have, as long as you have that feeling. And I associated a color with the feeling. So I was like, what color is this? And then I would, let's say purple. As long as I'm feeling purple, I'm going towards my future. Right. It's a scientific thing. But if I feel red, if red is angry or if red is dark, then I'm not going towards that purple.
Right.
Right?
You're being something other than what you want to truly be.
Yeah. And that attraction is like apples and oranges. If you're an apple, you're in the apple bucket. If you're an orange, you're not there. If your dream is apples, you have to be an apple.
Right.
Is that weird?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the thing that I've talked to many people in my life. I've set up groups of health and healing journeys and all that stuff. And one thing that I really think is underappreciated is this.
Yes.
Is aligning with something greater than yourself, with your purpose, call it this true, which is why I call my first book Super Life. Rebrand everything, the podcast is Super Life. I want people to live their super life, right? So this stuff I believe at my core.
Yeah.
And the thing that I noticed, and I want everyone to listen to this because we talked about it a second, but what is so pervasive, people won't even, let's say they're destitute, whatever that looks like. Right. They just don't have enough money for rent. They're not eating well. Whatever the story is. Mm-hmm. Some people won't even let themselves dream. Yeah. Yeah. They won't even let themselves barely see another future.
That's right.
Because that brain is already kicking in with the 1,000 excuses. Well, how could I possibly? Because I got this, I got that, I got children, I got that, right. And that brain, that idea, that story is so gnarly.
And they feel comfortable with it. Yeah. It's a source of comfort. The complaining, the excuse.
Right.
And that's, we find that with health. A lot of the kids sometimes that we know, their parents and the kid's sick. And I said, oh, well, what do they eat? No, it's not what they're eating. It's allergy season. It's teething and the pain, and they can't concentrate, and they're not sleeping because of this.
Story.
Something that they can't control.
Right.
What can you control? You can control your diet.
Right.
You can control the polyester that you're wearing that you shouldn't be. I mean, you bought that.
Right.
You're sleeping, or you're putting that perfume on every day. And that's why I love your whole, your latest book is just it's incredible, because you're just pointing out all these things. And it's wonderful because Jasmine, my partner, my, love of my life, and we have a child now. She reads your book like a Bible. And she's just like, wait, we got the floors, the candles, can't be candle. No, can't, can you take an orange and light it on fire? She's like,
right.
I don't even know if you can do that, but it's just everything, and it's so wonderful. And a lot of people say, oh, that's a lot of stuff, and I don't want to be afraid. No, accept the information and do something about it. Do what you can control.
Yeah. And it's a momentum too, right? It creates this momentum. So if you go back to your story, you had to start somewhere. You had to start with your dream. And that dream might have pushed the envelope of comfort even. Yeah. Because you're in a certain state of being. You're in a certain life. The matrix is what it is. Yeah. You're in this apartment. You're in this basement. You're, you're in mold. Whatever the current state is. Yeah. And it takes a effort just to allow yourself to go, I'm going to state this goal. Right. And then I'm going to allow myself to feel this goal. And then I'm going to actually combat the infinite storyline that is just perpetually creating itself in my brain.
That's right.
And that alone, I think if everyone can walk away with that practice, their lives will change. Yeah. It's not exclusive to you. Right. It is available. I mean, I have a funny story when I was creating my first superfood, like I was creating all these superfoods, right? 15 years running around the world going, shit, no one knows about this, and I'm going to just do it myself. And so I was doing it myself and blowing through all my money and traveling all over the world, Amazon and everything else. And then I got contacted by this company, Beachbody, right? $1 billion. But they didn't have a nutrition line. They're like, hey, can you create a botanical superfood shake? Yeah. And even though I was dabbling, I'd never had done that. And I was that same position. Right. But I had already been playing so much that I was like...
With your powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I was like...
Yeah.
And it changed my life.
Yeah.
And it changed their life. Like it became one of the most successful shakes in the country. Yeah. Right? So, but I remember when you're saying that was a big moment for me because I was like, yes.
Right. It's a new you. It's like coming out of the womb. It's like, like this is, I normally would say, well, I'm not an expert. I didn't go, right? But it's just, I'll figure it out.
There's a courage there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a courage for all of us. And I think everyone listening could say, what is the goal that I've been unwilling to say absolute yes to? Right. So everyone right now,
I love that.
What is something? Right. And even me, I'm like, I have pretty big goals even now.
Yeah.
But like, what can we put in the world that would stretch us even more? To make to make life into super.
Yeah.
Right? And
that's beautiful.
So what do you think? I'd like to ask everything because I love where all this is going, and I have a few other questions about your family. But what do you think is if there's like 3, 4, 5 things that you think people could be doing to live their super life?
I think number one, if you can continually ask the question in any scenario, what do I want? That, there's someone say, oh God, I want to start a business, but I just don't have enough. No, well, what do you want? Right. I want to be able to raise the money. Right. I want to start the business. It's kind of like what you said, that number one, just keep asking that. And when you find the shift, when you find yourself going negative about yourself and being self-deprecating, I had to stop stand-up comedy because people, to be funny, I would make fun of myself, make fun of my appearance with the afro, make fun that, girls didn't want to date me because I didn't have a nice place. And then people laugh. I said, I stopped being funny for like 2 years, right.
Because you were at the expense of yourself.
Expense of myself. Yeah. And I said, if these jokes that I'm doing, and if people are laughing, that's like a positive reward. And so why would I want to become successful if being unsuccessful is entertaining and that's what they're going to see? So it got deep, but so ask, is this what I want? And say what you want. Another thing, if you must say something negative to someone, state it in the past. Say, I've had trouble doing my 300 push-ups a day. I have had trouble. Because if you say, I have trouble doing, that means you're presently now, you're telling your brain,
right now.
like, I'm supposed to have trouble.
Right.
I've had.
Right.
Because sometimes you want to illustrate like the way you used to be or even the way you were yesterday. Doesn't mean that's the way you're going to be today. You got to leave room and space for the things that you want and the change that you want. So state all negative things about yourself in the past, past tense. And I think health, I would say, understand that your lifestyle and what you put in your body from drinking, your food, what you put on your body, everything, lifestyle, it's real. And it can change the way you think. The people don't realize that donut that they're eating, and a lot of it's for entertainment. So I'd say don't eat for entertainment, eat for pure health. The reason why all animals eat is for energy, for thirst, for hydration, and do it for health, because you will. Because if you're not healthy, none of that stuff matters. I think having a value of health, because then you can provide for your kids better. You can be, if you're not alive, or if you're battling a disease or this, that. And I think a lot of people think things come from genetics, where a lot of it's lifestyle. Yeah. I would like to say, I don't have all the studies on all this stuff, but I'm seeing in my own life that lifestyle, because they'll be eating massive amounts of sugar, talking about, and they got the sniffles. Yeah. I used to drink a lot. I used to drink a lot when I was performing in Hollywood, and always had a runny nose all the time. Yeah. From whatever the alcohol's breaking down, my immune system's fighting. And I started to realize, I said, I didn't used to have this. Growing up as a kid, I never had, right?
What's the effect?
Cause.
Yeah.
And effect.
Yeah.
And it's not something people are like, oh, but I like going here with the Korean barbecue and with my friends and da-da-da. And I'm like, we stopped all that stuff. We cook 98% of all of our food. And actually, I don't even cook. I've been raw 120 days. That's amazing. As of yesterday. So 120.
And we had an amazing meal at your house,
the dinner.
Too. And we picked some fruit from your trees. Yeah. And it was like sprout, of course. We had the Sprout Heaven.
Oh, the Sprout Party. Yeah.
The Sprout Party.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, okay, sprouts are something anybody can grow. Yep. You don't need sunlight. And so it's about, and that's my entertainment, is how healthy can I be? And to know that all these corporations, a lot of the people, we're getting the sense, and people are getting it now since the pandemic and things, that, wait, they say it's in the name of our health. They say that. But these are for-profit corporations making money. All the chips and the food and the sodas and the this. And I mean, imagine the stuff we used to eat. Because I imagine we used to eat the cereals, the sugary, you see it on the TV, the cartoon, right? And then you just go eat the bowls of sugary water. And I'm like, my parents we do not let our daughter even see that stuff. Yeah. She's eating Sprouts. Her favorite thing now is Sprouts. It's unbelievable. But avocados, she's eating.
How old is she?
She's 18 months.
Right.
And she think, a treat for her is a date, a carrot.
Right.
A carrot.
I mean, listen, the candy was, they stole fruit.
They stole fruit.
Of course they did.
They put fruit in a lab.
Yeah.
That's what candy.
Fruit is amazing.
A mango? It's the best, sweetest. It's too sweet sometimes. A date gets too sweet.
You only can have a couple.
You have a couple dates. So it's like, and I'm like a nut no pun intended, but because I eat a lot of walnuts and sprouted stuff.
Sprouted nuts, yeah.
But like the energy and even since I met you, I think I've lost 7-8 pounds just from the diet.
Right.
I've been doing the same tennis and stuff like that. Yeah. I just have so much more energy. And I want to share that with the world, not aggressively, but yeah. I would like to, share that stuff and maybe in a structured, like a book or something like, right. This is how RedFoo, because I'm 49. Mm-hmm. I feel 20, 29, 19. I mean, yeah. I'm feeling good.
Right.
And I think it's because...
And you're sexy. And
And I know it. And I know it. Some people don't even know it. You got to know it.
Again.
Yeah.
Back to the brain.
But that's what it is. Whatever you are, if you're going towards your goals and you're, doing your stuff, my biggest thing now, what you said, when you said, do you have the courage to say yes to the goal, the thing, is my final chapter, I think, is becoming a teacher. And I have my daughter, and I get the most joy of teaching her.
Well, that's the cool thing about you, too, because you lead by a beautiful example.
Oh, thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, because
they imitate.
Yes. And like from, being plant-based for 17 years, I took the position. There's good people that can fight the fight in that sort of way, but I just like, you have a question, I'll answer it.
Right.
But I just love to be happy and healthy and strong and kind of like, that's the thing. Going back to a little bit when people feel they have been manipulated.
They have been.
By the food. Therefore,
yeah.
By them opening their mouth and consuming this food, they have now changed their microbiome.
Yes.
Their microbiome has its own appetite.
That's right.
You do not assimilate food without microbiome.
Right.
So the food you're eating is not the food you're consuming. The food you're actually taking in your body has to be consumed by the microbes. So when you eat all of this ultra-processed food, it is engineered for you to crave the hell out of it.
Right.
And so then your microbes are now changed. Now they have an appetite for the environment, going back to your environment thing.
Right.
The environment that you now have created for them, they want more of it because they've pushed out the good bacteria.
Right.
And they've created more. So now that environment's changed. So their cravings... There's a thing called biophotonics that they communicate faster than even cellular communication.
Wow.
So their cravings are telling you, and you think it's your cravings. It's not your cravings.
No.
It's their cravings.
Yeah.
And so people are running around a victim, essentially, of those choices over time. Yeah. And I say that to say, once you take a little bit of time and you eat the food that we're eating, I honestly, with every cell of my body, I don't crave any of that other stuff.
Nothing.
And in fact, that date, that strawberry, that mango, those sprouts, it's the best food ever.
It's the best food ever.
So there's when I hear people saying things like, I just want to live. Yeah. It's like, well, then you haven't aligned yourself to the food that you're consuming, because that doesn't equal. No. Right. It doesn't equal at all. Right. In fact, you're creating, to your point before about manifesting, that want of wanting to live doesn't line up with the actions you're taking and the food that you're consuming. Yeah. Right? That's it, yeah. So the integrity. Yes. Yeah, walking the talk. Yeah. If you're saying this, walk it. Yeah. So the other thing is, and I just want to set this table, like your dad he's a mogul, right? Yeah. It's unbelievable. Yeah. But, and we don't have to get into all of this stuff, but you didn't necessarily have the path laid out for you. Literally, I'm going to do this, because it wasn't like it was nurtured necessarily in your household, right? So, so if people, I just want to set that table, because people listening to this, you didn't you had to create your life.
Yeah.
It wasn't created for you.
Right.
Right? And I just wanted to say it because people easily, especially you've been out in the world, you've been successful, people want to make those excuses.
Yeah. Or they say, oh, well, his dad, just get. Actually, my father, first of all, my father is like the smartest human I've ever met outside of being my father. I mean, he just always, he was able to teach a lot of his success principles just through, 2 + 2 is 4, keep it simple, or direction is more important than speed, and he would break that down like kind of like the tortoise in the hare. It's like just go in the right direction and you're gonna, or you can go fast in the wrong direction and be on drugs and crack and this and that, and you really fast, but just go in that, right? So he had a lot of sayings, and he wrote a book, and I just hung on every word. I didn't grow up with him,
right?
And so I really paid attention to when he spoke, and I knew all the famous stuff that he had done. But there was a moment where I had the strong feeling, and he'd probably admit this, he didn't want me to do music. He wanted me. Because
he was the father. Set him up a little bit for everyone.
Yeah. Okay, so Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown, is my father. Is my father. But I grew up in the Palisades, surfer kid, skater with my mom.
Right.
And because they split up at 2 when I was 2 years old. And so I had a little bit of time in Malibu from birth to 2, and then I went to the Palisades. So I've always liked, music. My mom was an editor, and she was the first editor for Motown. So she did all and she created the video department. So she did Rick James video. She did Somebody's Watching Me. She directed these videos, directed them, and would edit. I would see her at home editing with the tape, cutting the tape with the razor blade.
So massive creativity from your mom's side too.
Extremely. Yeah. The most cleanly, like cleaning up everything spotless, and then editing. And she loved me. All my soccer games, she took me surfing, would videotape it, make videos. Every week she'd make a video of me to show my dad, because she wanted my dad to be in our lives. And then my dad said to her, I want him to learn the poem If by Rudyard Kipling. If, one of the greatest poems in the world. I'll give you just a couple lines. If you can keep your head when all about you, while others are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you could trust yourself when all doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give away to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. That's just a little, I can do the whole, right?
And it's weirdly connected to what we're talking about.
The whole poem, I've lived. So that's like one of the most important things he taught me consciously is learn if, and then live your life by it. And there's a part in the poem where it's like, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will, which says to them, hold on. And so I'd be playing tennis, and he'd be like, remember if, and I'd be like, it taught me not to give up, and I'm down, and as a kid playing in the sport, and he would come to some of my tennis matches. So he was very instrumental, but there was a moment, and I was big in the hip hop scene, big afro. I've named myself RedFoo, and this is a whole thing. Like, I renamed myself RedFoo as a rap name, but that's when because I grew up Steph and Gordy. Right? So I renamed myself RedFoo so I can choose my identity. Red means passion, and foo is coming from fool, but I took the L off because it was a little weak. I don't want to be a fool. I'm a foo.
Right.
A burst of energy, red energy, crazy, funny, but foo. And so I'm this RedFoo, and I think his son is like, who is this guy, RedFoo, rapper? And he goes, and this is just the real transparent thing. I've said this before. He goes, I don't think you have the voice for rap. I just don't think you have it. And this is the biggest guy in music history, Motown. Michael Jackson, he's saying this. And luckily, I knew that he thought, rap was a fad, because he's coming from soul singers, very melodic, jazz musicians, the whole thing, bands, and he's going, no, it's going to die out, but plus, I don't think you have, and he goes, and I said, who do you think has a good rap voice? And he goes, Tupac. I could feel his pain. And luckily for me, I was into my own stuff and my own B-boy rap stuff. And so Tupac, I respected Tupac, but I'd seen him transition into, he used to be with Digital Underground, a party, and then now he's, he was conscious and loved Tupac, but his style wasn't my style. And I said, he's not an expert on rap. He's not an expert. He doesn't know the voice. And then a girl before that, a couple days before, said, I think you have a sexy voice. Because I used to talk on the phone. I used to be like, hey, how you doing? Hey, you want to go grab something to eat later on? And she'd be like, ooh, your voice is. So I was like, I had been told by, and then the cats in the ciphers, we'd rap and they'd be like, dude, your voice is hard, bro. Right. And I'd be, and I would make it a little lower when I rapped and stuff. So I had already been getting feedback from the streets, from the real.
And that was probably almost more meaningful.
Yeah, than
your peers.
My peers had told me, hey, I like the voice,
Still can't feel good from your dad, though.
It doesn't. But I knew, but he wanted me to run his legacy. He wanted me to take over.
So there was an undertone.
There was an undertone. He used to tell me to cut my hair. He's like, you look so much more handsome without all that. It's your face. It distracts you from your face, At this time, I didn't even have the glasses, but he'd probably say, what do you got those things? They don't even have lenses. What are you doing, right? So that was a big moment. Now my mother had told me, love my mother, but she told me I was too short to play basketball. When I wanted to become an NBA player, that was my first dream, even before music. And at the time, I was short. And I never got that out of my head. And so when I saw other kids that were younger than me, that were taller than me, I got cut from the varsity team. Not even cut. I didn't even make the varsity team. They said, oh, you can go on JV. And I thought, oh, it's because I'm short. So I had stopped basketball. This is in 9th grade, to play tennis because you could be short. Michael Chang, Agassi, they weren't the tallest people. Then I grow to be 6'2". I'm as tall as Steph Curry, maybe an inch taller. One of the greatest, Yeah. So, and I said, okay, never again am I listening to somebody else. And letting someone else's thoughts be my thoughts now. Those were her thoughts. She said that for whatever reason. She says, now I was protecting you from failure. And that was, I obviously, now as growing up, I'm like, what does that even, that's not what I needed when I had a dream. You need.
Well, but again, that was her reptilian amygdala run amok. Right. And then the mother thing, I don't want to,
I don't want, what if he fails?
I don't want to see him hurt.
Right.
I don't want. But the hurt and the overcoming and the resiliency is the greatest muscle you can provide your child.
That's
opportunity.
Right. That's right. And so I stopped playing basketball. So when my dad says this, you don't have the voice. There was this moment. I said, that sounds like my mom when she said you weren't tall enough. That's his opinion. And I figured out what an opinion was at that time. Like, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of opinions about a lot of stuff. And because he liked Tupac better than Eminem. And I remember thinking, no, I think Eminem is a wordsmith, and this and that. Actually, Eminem opened up for us. I was called RedFoo and Dre Croon. And he was opening up. I had his demo tape. And someone said, you should sign him, and right before he got with Dre. And I said, this is the best demo tape I've ever heard. And he was a legend already doing open mics and stuff. So we knew his skill set was always, from the first time, like funny and crazy and lyrical and smart.
Right.
Anyways, but my dad was like, Eminem, he curses a lot. And I said, no, but that's not okay. But okay, so I
He's
said,
looking through his lens.
It's his lens.
Yeah.
And maybe what's good for me. And then, you know, so I said, I'm not gonna accept that. And I kind of distanced myself a little bit, but I said, but not like I didn't lose any love. I knew he was doing it. I said, I need to just go off and do my RedFoo, you know, and then I did. And we put out the independent record, and we had fans. This is before LMFAO, and made some money, did some publishing deals, you know. And I said, I'm here. And then all those murders happened, the Tupac, the Biggie, and I said, do I really want to move forward in this industry? And I kind of got spooked out, like, this is a crazy industry. So I kind of took a break.
Currently a little more crazy.
Well, now it's real crazy. I mean, it's always been this way.
Right.
That's why LMFAO, our goal was to do something law of attraction-y, positive.
I was watching some, because it's been a long time. I was watching some, and there is such a levity.
Yeah.
Honestly, from an energetic perspective,
yeah.
I can't listen to rap.
It's a little slower.
I can't. Yeah. It's
the vibration. Yeah.
It's hard not to listen to Eminem. It's just like wow. Right? Some of his older stuff.
Yeah.
But when I was rewatching your stuff and listening, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It's just because you did absolutely carry that energy almost up.
Yes.
And bring this, this is not a good comparison, but when I listen to oldies.
Disco and
when I listen to old stuff, it's like pop, pop, pop. Yeah. You're just like, it's really elevating.
Yes, yeah.
And it goes exactly to what you're saying. It's that, am I giving that plus?
Yes.
Or am I taking that away? Because if I'm creating a story where it's ultimately like, I'm complaining about a bunch of shit.
Right.
Or am I just celebrating?
And celebrating and talking about what we want.
Yes.
Right. And that's what that was. And it was an energy. Right. And the tempo is up to, most of the songs are 128 BPM. Our heart rate, you know, I think is around, you know, it's like 60. You double that, you get 120. Right. You got to be above. If you want to change someone, you can music, because your heart rate kind of goes to the rhythm of what you're hearing. Right. And if the rhythm is boom, then you can go up.
Right.
And that was the goal, is to take people that were sitting down, that were just here, and bring them up. And the music has to do that.
Right.
Not just the lyrics, the music has to be. So I got really into frequencies and the tempos, and not so much from a scientific point of view, but just I felt, wow, this music makes me feel better. I had a breakup before all of this stuff, and I felt like the negative music was calling me, you know, rolling in the deep. It was, and then I would because my frequency got low. Right. I got, you know, saddened and felt negatively about myself. Why did she leave? And this and that. And then disco in the 80s brought me out of it. And I started DJing. And it was all of the 80s and disco stuff, staying alive. I had to stay alive, baby. Right. You know, staying alive. You know, whatever. And so it gave me such good feelings. So I wanted to make and put that back into the world. I listened to the radio. I mean, like, this is like the news. This is depressing. Right. You know, this person got shot, this, that, drugs, this, that. And I said, I want to be a party band. Right. Party. Because the party is almost spiritual. You have a birthday party. You're celebrating your life. You have a wedding party, celebrating the marriage. You have, you know, weekly, you can, you know, it's you're off, you're working 9 to 5, Friday, let's go out, let's party, let's celebrate that long work week, school, you know, you get out of school, graduation party. So party is like, and I said so that's what the vision was. And there was a lot of artists that would say, when are you going to make serious music? Because I used to be in the Speedo. Right. And we perform in front of 70,000 people. I'm in a Speedo. And the DJ, which was a friend of mine, goes, when are you going to start making some serious music? And I said, oh, we're serious about this stuff. Babe, look at this, baby. And he goes, I know. Yeah, come on, your package. I know. It's funny. It's funny stuff. But, and then he goes, I just can't follow it. I have to come on after you. And you're doing this. He's like, why don't you just make some serious music, you know, like Heartbreak or something? And I said, I don't want to have to sing about that every time.
Right.
You know, we didn't make music that was so much our journal. And some people do that for their own therapy, and that's fine.
Sure.
We made it to entertain, to uplift,
right.
you know, and all that. And that's what I love about my music. And now I got a kid, and I'm making music. We're making children's songs because it's to teach her the alphabet. Like that, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. That's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, High, right? So all that, like, so we're using music as a tool to elevate people. It's not I'm sad, I just got to get this out. Sometimes you need to do that.
Sure.
But yeah.
But not as a consistent part of, you know, it's a fine line between allowing yourself to resonate to that which the state of being that you're addicted to.
Right.
And then you just keep going back to it. You keep listening to the music the same. So it just keeps supporting. And then you drink suppressants, which is alcohol. There's no up.
No up.
There's no up to any of it. And then
smoking.
All of you get together.
Yeah.
And now you're all vibing at the same.
Yeah.
And then you go back on Sunday, you're shaking off the effect and wondering why Monday comes and you
headache
and you know, and that's the seductive nature of these vibes, man, this life.
That's
and
right.
It's like the seductive nature of these foods, the seductive nature of this music and groups and then just a list of excuses.
Yeah.
So now looking forward.
Yeah.
What are you stoked about? What's like? I mean, your daughter clearly.
Yeah.
Jasmine clearly.
Yeah.
Your life and vibing with food and raw food.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Doug Evans.
Yeah,
and
baby.
Sprout Company.
Oh my God, big inspiration. He got me on the raw.
Yeah.
I was fighting it.
Yeah.
Because of those cravings. My microbiome, when he would talk, he'd be like, just go on a Sprout fast for a month. And my microbiome would go, no. Is this motherfucker crazy?
Right. Sprout.
Are you crazy?
Right.
And now I'm very close to, I'll do a whole day Sprouts. I'll do a whole day just fruit.
Right.
I'll do, and love it. But he was somewhere in a different place. Yeah. And now I'm at that place, 120 days raw.
Yeah.
So the new is really experimenting. I love seeing where I can take this physically. So I'm playing more tennis. But when I play tennis, I like, how do the pros play? Like I want to train like that. And I mean, I'm 49 and I'm feeling younger and younger. The more fruit I'm eating, the better I'm, right? And so that's for me personally, but even bigger than that is becoming a teacher. We're doing a homeschool for Eiley, our daughter. And we have this company that sends us a box, and every day there's a different different learning example or a different learning project that it takes about 30-40 minutes. She's only 18 months, and it might be to glue some stuff. And it's funny though, it's because there's a lot of toxins, so I have to call her, get the non-toxic glue, or maybe there is no non-toxic glue, but can we use peanut butter to glue some stuff on? We're like, seriously, like they'll come with plastic grass that we have to glue. And I'll be like, can we just use real grass? We have grass. Maybe this was built for the city, teachers. Anyways, but teaching and then learning, I'm learning how to sing. Because you would think, well, don't you sing? Well, I rapped in key, right? We'd make all the music. I knew a little theory, but now I'm going deep into the theory to teach Eiley. Because if we're the teachers, the parents, and I believe that this is an old school model where the parents just teach the children. I don't really want to send my kids to the school with the strangers. Then the kids that they eat the plastic, the this, that. you know, Eiley has never seen somebody consume meat. We have chickens, we have cows. She's never seen someone, because she'd say, I want some. Anything that anybody does, she wants to.
You don't have association to it.
So we have to, you know, stay in the bubble, which I love the bubble because it's such a fun. And then we bring people in and we cook a lot of the food. So a lot of it is that I'm heavily into AI as far as the coding.
Right.
I always dream of these apps where I'm just speaking to some app and it's doing everything, calendar, this, that. Tell me what's on and it just talks to me.
I have an idea that I have some AI guys, but I'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Because it might be very interesting in terms of habit forming stuff.
Yeah. Yes. That's interesting. I have a habit tracker that you talk. I'm building the thing, but it doesn't have all the theme yet.
Yeah. So it's a super life idea that I've had because I've been in and out of a lot of groups. Obviously, worked with some big companies, taken thousands of people through programs and plant-based stuff, and we are seeing connective tissue that works and getting people into small groups and bigger groups and connected. But there is a aspect of AI that can be very, very hyper individualized.
Yes, that's what I'm into.
So I'd love to talk to you about that.
Yeah,
maybe you could play with that. But, dude, I you know, there's so much here, and I love talking with you.
Yeah,
it's there's so much our own connective tissue and suffice it to say is if you don't have health, quickly find that when you don't have it, that is your number one priority.
Yes.
Right? So whereas if we can help people prioritize that and create a path so that they break the chains of this habit formed, they don't even realize they're a victim to it. Right. And then what kind of world, what kind of society, what kind of people can be thinking better and be optimized? And obviously with the brain and the entrainment that you're so good at. That needs to be in the world a lot more, and people really need to. I think The Secret did good. But it also became kind of a joke of itself. In a certain sense. Do you remember What the Bleep Do We Know?
Same people. They did The Secret.
Same.
The What the Bleep was incredible.
God. I mean,
that was like, actually more scientific about
big time.
But I heard from them that they wanted to dumb it down. The Secret's like a dumbed down version of What the Bleep. It was too. But I loved that.
Oh man.
Showing the emotions when someone was. And all that.
That was like, oh wow. People are speaking to something that
hasn't been spoke to.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so I think this technology that we know, and then watching the brain and watching that, I think, man, if we can wake people up to that, it is definitely a super life at that point.
It's extremely super life, and it can happen faster than you think. Because I made that switch, and within 6 months, my whole life was different. And it was just cutting out those negative, not to think balanced, to think all, this is what I want, this is the dream. And you don't have to know how in the beginning.
Exactly.
It'll come.
Exactly.
You know,
that's the list that we want to, but I want to know all of the steps. I want to know how it's going to happen because it's not happening.
Right.
So you judge your current experience to then negate, like you said. You want a dream, but then you negate it. So now you're not going anywhere. And going nowhere is dying. Like, so.
Well, you got to experiment. You know, you have to do something 30 days. Before I was raw, I was 215 pounds, and I'm now 179.
Wow.
And I did nothing different physically, like didn't work out anymore.
Right.
And it was we look at the old pictures just from 4 or 5 months ago. Well, it's been 4 months now, so 6, 7 months ago, I was inflamed. Didn't even know it. Didn't even know when people. And now I can look at people and go, oh, they're cooked. Me and Doug, the cooked food. You're losing the enzymes, right?
Yeah.
So the stuff that I can do now, that my body has transformed back to what people recognize me as, RedFoo, because I was doing 4 or 5 shows a day, 100, an hour of cardio a day, so I could eat shittier, and it wouldn't show up.
Right.
But now I'm not moving as much, and I'm sitting down the dawn and coding and stuff. So all that stuff shows, and so you have to. But I didn't see a change after a week of going raw. I didn't see a change. That's all. I felt a little different, but didn't see a change. But after 30 days, people would say, "Oh, you're doing something. What are you doing?" Right. And then now they call me Skinny Bones Jones. You know what I mean? Like, and it feels good, and people are calling me out of the way.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? And we want to do a deal with you. We want, because then on my birthday, I was in a Speedo again. And my confidence level goes way up. Right. I was the guy last year that didn't want to go to the beach. And if we do have to go to the beach, I ain't taking off my shirt.
Right.
I'm got a little stuff that I'm not excited about, right? And so making this one, doing the raw, and I had tried raw before, but when you understand a lot, so that's one thing I think, study health. Right. Become a study, to educate yourself.
Right.
Because that helps. Because if you do these things you don't know, then you're like, I went raw before, I still craved the vegan burger, I craved it.
Right.
Didn't know what was going on. But, or maybe you just do raw in the morning all until and you have one meal cooked. I actually did that.
Totally, yeah.
And or whatever it is.
Right.
Some things cold turkey is I used to dibble dabble, smoke a cigarette in Hollywood because you see all the models doing it, and you want to talk to the model, and I just said, this is horrible. Right. And so that I went cold turkey because I saw how much toxins, the fiberglass in there, and you put a cigarette on the ground and it's just tar. You know what I mean? And then I was like, that's what's going in and I said, so that was cold turkey. The meat was cold turkey. It was easy.
Right.
Because, and now for me with the raw, and this is an interesting thing, is no animal, except for humans, eats cooked food.
Right.
No animal eats cooked food, And I got cows. They're stronger than everybody, and they're eating alfalfa every day. And there's going to be people that say, well, a cow's stomach is different and this and that. But I used to eat broccoli before I was raw, and I used to tear my stomach up. Now I eat it. It doesn't. My microbiome has gotten used to, and
diversification is huge with fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds.
Yeah, because you want to give your microbiome all the...
You can eat one plate if you and I grab someone off the street and we ate the same meal.
Yeah.
You're assimilating, let's say it's a raw meal.
Yeah.
You're extracting all of those nutrients.
Right.
That other person, they're not.
Right.
But from a macro perspective, it's the same meal.
Yeah, it's the same meal.
It's vitamins, minerals, but they're not getting it.
Yeah.
Because it's the microbes.
And if they went raw for 2 months, a month or 2 months, then they would be extracting.
Totally.
Because your body gets used to it. The same, this is extreme, but the people that are smoking crack, they get used to extracting what's in that crack. And your body's calling for that. Crack.
I need
crack. We seen it. You've seen them in the Hollywood. Yeah. So I'm just saying, it's your body almost, this is what Earl Nightingale said about the mind. Your body almost doesn't care. It's whatever you put in there, it gets used to.
It's a blank hard drive.
It's a blank hard drive.
Yeah.
It's a desktop, And it's up to us to keep our desktop organized and clean.
It has no point of view unless we decide a point of view.
That's right.
So be a gatekeeper of that point of view.
Yeah.
And that, again, this biology system has hardwired protection mechanisms.
Yeah.
But but we can easily become a victim of it, or we can change it.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. If you just simply go, what do I want? And that is your practice today. Everyone can just, and then you'll get more kind of that untethered soul moment where you'll be able to have space going, oh my God, my brain is crazy.
Yeah.
It's having all these excuses, and I'm just going to hold to what I want.
Yeah.
And keep that vibe, and then your brain is gonna rewire the neuroplasticity and all of that stuff. And then when it starts to show up, and things start to miracles, which should be a part of the lexicon of our lives, because we're just lacking the desire to hold the energy for it to come in.
Right.
The sun's still there, even if the shade is down.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. So I have an exercise, actually. Please. This is, everybody should do this. This is incredible. Even you tonight.
Okay.
And I'll
what
do
if they're
it
on
as
a tractor right now? Should they do it or not on a tractor?
On
any heavy machinery? Should they do it?
No. If they're listening on the podcast, just take this and then do it tonight.
Later, okay.
Do it later. It's called the list of 20. Write down 20 things you love. It could be anything. It could be sports. It could be my partner, my daughter. It's just things that you love.
Right. Sprouts.
Sprouts, baby. Mangoes. I love mangoes. Nice. So you write it down, whatever it is. Then you write, and you write it 20 fast. It's not like, this whole thing should be done in 10 minutes.
Right.
20 things that you love, 20 things you want.
Yeah. And
you will notice that what you want is an extension of what you love. If you love mangoes, you might say, or if you love sprouts, you may say, I want to get a sprouting kit. Right? If you love mangoes, you might say, I want to go to the farmer's market every Wednesday. Right? You'll notice those connections. Then you reserve 5 wants for what you're going to tell your grandkids. So 15 of just basic wants, and then 5 of them should be big time wants. You're telling your grandchildren what you've accomplished in your life, and you go, hey, I got my ATP tennis point. I was a pro tennis player, or I had a #1 hit single.
Right.
I had 10 books in circulations, and Super Life became the biggest documentary. Right. And you're saying at least 5 of those. Now the third list is really key. 20 of your best skills. And it's like, I used to do acting and stuff. They say, well, what are your skills? I used to say skateboarding and, being funny and this, that. So you write down whatever you think your skill set is. For me, it'd be coding, tennis, your
voice.
The voice, my voice. My voice. I'm sexy yet I know it. Yeah, baby. My communication, cooking in the kitchen. My partner Jasmine would say she's better than me, but I still think I'm up there, and I would agree she is more naturally talented with these recipes. But so then you list all that stuff, and you can't be shy about this. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to. No.
Right. Especially when you're just with yourself.
It's just by yourself, right? Write down your skills. This is it, because you're gonna. So then now. You look at your whole list, and if you do it on a paper and you go columns, you can start. You can hand draw. You can write it in the digital, whatever. You'll start making connections. Ooh, I love sprouts. I want a sprouting kit. My skill is actually gardening, so I'm actually gonna set up a whole sprouting situation. Get the seeds. Get the this. Right? That could be a thing. But for your career. This is what I did before the LMFAO. I wrote this down, and at the time I did, so I wrote all my skills. You circle the one you're better at than all your peers, because now we're talking about competition. If someone comes in the door right now and says, I need a book writer, I need a ghostwriter and I'm writing a health book. You're gonna say, well, yeah, I've written some health books and some things. And I'm going to be like, well, I've written some stuff down. So they're going to go to you. You're going to get that job because that skill, you're better than that at me. If someone says, I need a music producer, right? And I need this, then they're going to say, so who has that experience? And I'm going to say, and you might say, oh, I play the guitar, but I got number one hit out, so they're going to go to me, right? So I figured that out. And I was around I was doing comedy, and I was doing, I was writing a script for a movie. And I was in Hollywood, and I was around all these comedians, Godfrey, Dane Cook. Mm-hmm. These were all these people that, I started to become peers with. I started doing open mics and started doing stuff. So I said, if someone comes in the room and wants a comedian, they're going to pick Godfrey. They're going to pick Dane Cook. Mm-hmm. But I said, if someone picks wants a producer, out of all my friends in Hollywood, I felt I was the best and the most experienced producer. Mm. So I circled that. Then I looked back at my want, and my want, this was before LMFAO, it said number one hit album. I said, oh shit, well, there's a connection. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm better than all my peers from my 20, skills. And then I said love, and music was in my love. So I said, this is how, I said, let me do music first, and I will break into the circle. And then I probably, because it had make a movie a year. I had that in there, in my wants. I told my kids, I've made 10 movies like Woody Allen, because I used to watch a lot of Woody Allen stuff. And so it was like, but that wasn't my best foot forward. That wasn't what I was better at than all my peers. And I could have probably fought through that and, but if you need money now and you need to get, some legs to stand on and financially, you got to do what you're currently the best at, you're the most confident at, and you're going to get that job because it's a competition when you're, or not that job, that work, even if you're doing your entrepreneurial stuff, write about if you're writing a book for the first time and that's your business plan to write a book, make money from it, write about what write about what you're passionate about, write about, that's your skill. And that changed everything. And then the bonus fourth list is write 20 things that you're grateful for. Mm. People, things in your life, family, this, grateful. When you do this list, and you don't have to think about all that, Pierce, just do the list first. Take 10 minutes, 20 things that you love, want, your skill set. The bonus is gratitude. Mm-hmm. The way you feel when you look at this picture is that is you. It's not your parents. It's not your teachers. It's not your boss. It's not your coworkers. This is you. Mm-hmm. And it feels great because you've written down your dreams and you see it. And when you do that, there it is. And if you only think about those things, now you can change some of the wants. Mm-hmm. I used to want chips and salsa. I wrote down chips and salsa. I don't eat chips and salsa. Well, I do. We just make the chips. We dehydrate the flax seeds. And we make, carrot chips, and then we make our own salsa. So I actually do still love it.
But the best chips
I was thinking corn, fried, from the restaurant, right?
Right.
But so you can change this list, and I will go back every couple years, and I'll look, and I will see that everything that I wanted, it was starting to be checked off. But just because I got it out on the paper. And so that's what I think. If people started there, and then we can do a program and put this in and do an app, because this is an app right here.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is what I am very passionate about and have done and continue to do. And I've talked about this with friends, and they've done this stuff, and they've been like, this is amazing.
Yeah, this is RedFoo creating your super life. Right
yeah,
here,
that's a super life. We got to put that in the revised version.
Wow.
Yeah, super life. But you can even try this.
Yeah,
just as an exercise. It is beautiful.
I'll do it. Everyone else, listen.
Let's do it.
Let's get a movement going on.
Yeah. And when I come back, then we'll have our list.
We'll go through our list.
Yeah.
And then see how many checks.
That's right.
Dude. Love you, man.
Oh, man. Love you too, man.
Thank you.
It's been great.
This has been epic, and can't wait to see what else you create in the world.
Yeah, baby.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers.